Hello. Una welcome for this platform. This one na Christian Family Home Fellowship, and the program na Bible Review. For Bible Review program, we look different chapters of the Bible. We try to study them chronologically. And so for this first session of the program, since we'll be launching, I think some time back we'll be informed about this particular program. So this one is the first program, and we start with Genesis. With Genesis, we actually read verse by verse. Or the hope say, as we be informed now, when I don't take time, when I don't read in the Bible, chapter 1, that is from the first to the last verse of chapter 1, Genesis chapter 1. And so this section particularly, now for we for come, we'll try to see the kind of lesson where that particular chapter it don't teach we. Because the essence for Bible study, even not just for read them like saying some literature, but now for get a lesson from which we don't read them. Now for be able, for see if our lives be touched, if we get an impact, a positive impact from which we don't read them. That's what we talk about studying the Bible. When you study, we get for ensure so we learn something at the end of the day. So for this session, we will come up with a few things where if you don't learn them like a lesson from that very chapter 1. But before we dive into that, I want to tell you, say, as Christians, how your life will look like tomorrow. Whether you be a good Christian or a bad Christian tomorrow, or a good Christian and an unbeliever tomorrow, it depends on some two key things where I want to make una know. The first thing, now the kind Bible will be using. And I want to say, as a Christian, now Bible be our own tool. Just like farmer, colass na tool for farmer, hammer na tool for carpenter. For Christian, now Bible be own tool. Because anything we would talk, anything we would do, would refer to that Bible. In fact, Bible now I would talk say what track, the track where we as Christians are supposed to work on. And so you will realize that if you get the wrong Bible, already your future as a Christian it don't be spoiled. And that's why the draw attention was say, maybe we know the kind of Bible we would use. You know, a bit difficult. In fact, it be practically impossible today for Christians forget the Bible way it be written in the original text. And so all Bible do today, now one the way they translate them and it be only closer to the original text, and even not exacting as the original text in the show. But some of the Bible then they be well translated to the extent where they get just some very slight differences from the original text. Now that kind of Bible they would advise what Christian them when they use them. Me and my Christian them, our own Christian them for this side, would use we can say King James Version. Because now translated version where it be closest to the original text. And so when you use King James, you read King James, you not be too far from the original text. And an updated version of King James Day, where we call it say New King James Version of the Bible. That one, you know, the King James, the language being somehow tough, strong. So the New King James, now exactly King James Version, but they soften the language for where we feel we don't understand them clearly which way they try to talk. Unlike the original King James Version. That's why I will advise you now for search for the New King James Version. If you don't get a New King James Version, you use King James. And so, a bit good thing, most of you will get Android phones. Most of you will get computers. You feel really search for internet of the app. You go for Play Store, you download the app, just type New King James Bible, you download them, you will use them, not the same thing. So now the first two that way in the Bible. And then the second thing we will get for know as Christians, for make sure say our life it be good, it reflect exactly what way Christian life get for reflect. Now say we get to understand the foundation of Christianity where now this Bible. That's why this program be very important. because it educates we chapter by chapter which way Bible they talk about. But most importantly, chapter 1 of the first book of Moses, that means Genesis. Chapter 1, now for the way foundation, now for the big foundation stone them did. So therefore know what kind of stone them. They think I lay that foundation. So I really talk say therefore master chapter 1 of Genesis very well. In fact, the entire book of Genesis, but starting from chapter 1. So that the two basic things in that for Christian in life. And well, would the advice una say maybe una try for master them. You know, Genesis is a book where if you don't read them, we don't read them. That means say if you don't read them over and over, even uncountable times. But I want to tell you, say, unless somebody take time interpret those lessons the way it did for them, I want to tell you, say, nobody understand nothing. So that's why this our Bible review session be very good. And for this particular session, we will come up with that information, the way that lesson they will learn them from chapter 1. We will share them together for this particular session. So please pause this video now. If you don't get your Bible for your hand, pause this video at this point. You look Bible before you can continue, because you will find anyway. I believe say you don't read the chapter, and so our interpretation will be basically on chapter 1. Okay, we will go directly to the to our lesson. That is chapter 1. Somebody is calling, please. Just I'll call you back. Call back. Okay. Who said our body? Okay, we'll use this board for do our studies. Now for here we will present all things, the lessons and so on. So we will look the lessons learned. We don't come up with some 6 lessons that we'll learn them from Genesis. Okay, if it be more, we will try for just talk. The one now just a summary of which we will fit learn them. We don't bring out the main points of which we will fit learn them. You can learn more, and there is much to learn from it. And so the first thing what we learn from this book, chapter 1 of Genesis. You know, say Genesis. I want to say Genesis in the book of chapter 1. You talk about creation. God began what you call say divine project. Now a whole project. I mean the creation of the world and its content. And from the first verse of that chapter 1 to the last verse, it talk about creation, and God used 6 days. So we'll come out on 6 lessons from that particular chapter. I want to say the first lesson, what we'll learn from there, and I say, God is the creator of the world. As a Christian, now a profound truth, this way you're supposed to know, and where you're supposed to tell any person at any point in time. You get for know, say God, not only God and not only He one, He creates the entire world, and everything will be found inside this world. And that's why chapter 1 of the book it also says God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, so if we start the creation with heaven and the earth, but before even this creation, I want to say God, now this was a divine project, just like any project where you get down. You imagine, say, you get some vision, and then you try to plan for achieve that vision. That's what God do for create the world. I just imagine God sitting somewhere and having a vision of creating something that He will call the world, in which there will be living things and non-living things. And He tried to come up with a picture of how that world look like. And so for Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, He creates heavens and the earth. And then for the second lesson, what would the learn and say? What would the learn and say? The creation project was the first miracle. And okay, so sorry for that interruption. The second lesson what they learn and say, the creation project, it will be the first miracle where it ever exists for the world. And we as Christians were supposed to know this. Miracles start. In fact, this world started with miracles, because at each point in time, God did just command when He words, let there be this, and they think that it just happened. Is that not enough miracle? So, as Christians, we therefore know say the project of creation it begin at the first miracle where God ever executed. The third lesson now say a world planned and executed in an orderly manner. If we look the way where God created the world and everything inside, He started from day 1 right up to day 6. And God go in a chronological and an orderly manner for achieve each step of His goals. I want to say this was a vision. And for achieve that vision, you get different goals and when God will achieve them at each point in time. Now so God take and create the world. And it just boils down to just any project where we figure that. If you get a vision, for realize that vision, your vision will be that we don't talk about vision, we talk about a dream. You feel dream for say, okay, if you get a dream for say, okay, you want for come up with this. Your dream will be now to get a successful marriage. That is your vision. Now, forget that successful marriage. At each point in time, you will set different objectives. And you will evaluate the different objectives for ensure say you achieve them one after the other for achieve that vision. And at each point, you go to go and say evaluation. Man, no go faster than what you will get from talker. Now, the fourth lesson we learn from Genesis chapter 1, I say, God made man in His own image. God made man in His own image. I think this will be Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, something like that. And for them, you see, say God, after He don't create all things, He created man in His image. In His image, created him. Man and woman, He created them. So this particular lesson, now for tell you say God created man in His own image. And for create man in His own image, what did that one reflect? It is simply telling us, say, God give we a certain authority. God give we, let me say, like God. It shouldn't stand for front mirror. You look yourself in yourself inside a mirror, now you see yourself. So to an extent, when it say God made man like Himself, God made we out of His own image. And so that one will give we a certain authority, certain level of powers, where we fit actually do things like He the God. And it is practically possible. For doing things like He the God just means that say, we will continue to be closer to Him, we will continue to follow His word, and then okay man, okay, and then He will fit for do most of those things. And so we say God come down, He be in we like His image. That means we will move, God there for inside we. And that's so we take and make man. And remember, I need to talk here about a woman. Because the procedures where God take and create woman, it be quite different from the procedure where God take and create man beginning. We realize in the later verses, when God want to create woman, they say He make man, He fall asleep, and then He move man in one read, He take and create woman. And so you realize it now, woman and man, they be for from God. They will be physically the same, but to an extent, there is a bit of difference. And the difference comes from the way God take and create with you. And I want to say, God first created man before He ever created woman. God created man. After He created living things, He created man. He gave man that authority. And then at the end, He said man need a woman. Man need the man need a woman. Now He created now a woman. So woman come after man. And so God, Bible tells us, say God created a man out of His own image. Now, one of the basic lessons, and the lesson is what we're supposed to know, because in your history, in your life as a Christian, because if you don't just be a newly born again, if you just be newly born again, and certain things that you're supposed to know as a born again, for strengthening your faith. And this truth, it lies in this foundation. It lies in Genesis chapter 1. And so, this simple truth where we talk, even though it will not be simple that much, because most people don't know this truth, it gives us so many other answers as we will go on for the study God's word. we will see the kind of difference the way it is between man and woman, and why devil ever pass na through woman for enter the Garden of Eden, or for enter inside that wonderful family where God will put them for Garden of Eden. The difference, why devil need be used na man, why be pass na through woman? Because God will not put in man, God will not enter inside man shidon. Since God will make man out of his own image, God will not enter inside man is shidon, and so devil will not forever feel deceive the God where he will not be inside man. And so the only possibility, the only option will remain being a woman. And so devil pass through woman, he enter inside that particular family. The difference lies in that image of God. Now, the next lesson, we already come up on certain issues when we see and say being necessary. The next lesson we will learn and say God decentralized authority. Or this is democracy today. We talk about decentralization, federalism. Even until when man create them, man learn them from God. Man learn them from the Bible. And so when God don't create the world, He create living things, He create the non-living things. He said no. Among the things the way don't create them. After don't create man, He said among the things they don't create them. He's supposed to give part of His powers for one of those creatures. So that that man will fit control these things. And the only creature where God is here, where if you do that thing, even I say where if you do that thing, now where we be blessed, forget that kind of power, now man, now human being. Because this is say God, because God for physically that power for any animal. When the power go for any animal for physical, as long as God give that part for it. But I will also be blessed, forget that power. For say God give we man that power for rule over all the other creatures. And so this was a form of decentralization. Because God's vision, you need to be only for create the world, but now create a world where, and then ensure, say, man live freely and happily in that world, just like in the Garden of Eden, in the kingdom of God. And for achieve this, certain things them get for be achieved. And so it gives part of the powers for man, for ensure, say, this vision, it be executed. It's not like you get a vision. Maybe you want to create now some, I don't know, some big hospital for your village, where it will serve the entire community. You don't get that vision, you don't do that vision, you don't carry out that vision you want. You will need to work as them, for give them certain power, certain autonomy. For any man get what you do, any man get his own thing for you. So now exactly the same thing with God do. God will say, after I don't create the world, if vision never end for day. Not just that particular project don't finish, but if vision will continue. So in need man, He will give some of the authority for man for ensuring that vision will be accomplished. That's why I talk about decentralization. God be decentralized power. God will visit Shalom for heaven. He rule. But it is not be necessary. He give that power. So now the same thing for we. When we get one or two projects, we'll not fit run project we yourself. We'll get workers and run that project. So what we'll fit do now say, we'll fit recruit other people, them give them their own assignment, give them delegate certain powers to different people to execute. That one so it will help you for execute our vision, for come up with that, for finish our vision very well. So now big lesson this way, Genesis chapter 1 they teach we, where God they teach we. Say we will not be selfish with power. We will try for decentralized power. And then the sixth thing, when the last thing we will learn from this lesson, I say, God will finish His project within 6 days. And this tells us a lot. We will see for Genesis chapter 2 during our next Bible studies, which will happen after that 6 days. But here one time I said, God finished His project in 6 days. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, any project. So if you get your own project, where it will take you 1 month. If you get your own project, where it will take you 1 year. Projects them vary, projects them differ. And how soon you finish with project, it depends on your workforce, it depends on your strength, it depends on your intelligence. So, your own project will take you even 1 year for finisher. We will see the importance of having a project and executing it within a time frame. But now, which way the important point I want to bring out for you and say, God, so many things them they will do unto thee. Where science they do them, medicine they do them, art. In fact, every field in the world they do them. And then it comes now from their brain. Everything be inside the Bible. For instance, if you see the way from day 1 to day 2, how God will execute this divine project, we will understand, say, it will be wonderful. Something there for project management. What would you call and say? SMART. S stands for specific. That means we get specific goals for achievement, for being able to attain our vision. You know, if you get a vision or a big project where you don't get no specific goals. M stands for measurable. That means you must get your goals and must be measurable. If but just okay, within this time limit, I must don't carry out so and so number of things. And then A stands for attainable. Your objective will be attainable. That means say your objective, you don't forget the objective the way you know will fit achieve them, you know will fit attain away be imaginary. Your objectives must be within your reach. And then R stands for realistic. Your goals must be realistic. They are not supposed to be imaginable. You must get realistic goals. They must be real. They must be goals where they get results. Where if you actually talk to, okay, now this result is I don't achieve them. And then finally T, your goals they must be time bound. That means you must talk say within 24 hours I get for achieve this. Within 2 days I get to achieve this. And so God be work. Now I don't say this was a divine project from which we get to learn a lot. You see, we youth them today will suffer, we get marvelous ideas, maybe wonderful ideas, but we need to be able for execute our ideas, come up with very good realistic project now because we don't know about this plan for carry out our project. And so if we follow this Genesis, the whole of Genesis chapter 1, we see how the way God will achieve this project. If we want to therefore imitate them, we don't get no problem. When we talk about specific, God will get specific goals. For instance, the first goal begin and said he get for create heaven and earth, and he create them. After he create them, Bible talk say for verse 2, he said God he look, he said the world will be dark, it will be void, that means it will be empty. That means say God wait, how do you know these things? That means say he evaluate. And for project management, something they will call and say monitoring and evaluation. You don't feel the execute project where you need to evaluate and for see whether you go for front, you go for back, or you stand at one place. So at each point, when God achieves one goal, if she don't, he evaluate them for see whether it be good. That's why verse 1 says God created heaven, the heavens and the earth. Verse 2 says, after God see them, he don't he look them. That means say he evaluate which way don't create them. He says something be wrong. He says some gaps in there. The whole world will be dark. The whole world will be empty. There was nothing inside. And then God said, oh, it means that how can I do? I get for create light. Light will make the whole place go shine. And then I get for put something inside. So now you monitor and evaluation that. You don't evaluate that thing. Then when you do evaluation, if any gaps there, you will use that gap now, set them now like your next goal. That's why God in next goal, got in next objective, the beginning for create the light. And that's why I think for verse 3, they say, let there be light, and there was light. So for verse 3, God now achieved now that his second objective. And after he realized that second objective, he still should not do evaluation. So at each point, when God don't attain one objective, he evaluate, he do evaluation for which way he want. So for we today, most of our project, we just the inside project, we just the do, we just the work, the go. We need to get time for try for evaluate things. Because until you evaluate how your work will go on, you know whether you go for front or you go for back. And it be very bad for you for only know say you don't fail at the end of your project. So monitoring and evaluation will permit we for know whether we fail or whether we progress or whether we stand at one place. If you fail, you ask yourself, but why this objective don't fail? Then you will try for see side where you did wrong. You set new objectives, you re-strategize, and then you move ahead. So entirely that is the wonderful message from Genesis chapter 1. Where I would really like and say, maybe we try to read them. If we don't read them, fine, we'll go through, read them, then we'll see. Then when we do all this, we'll realize say, what project? What are you getting now? Which kind of project for this ground? That project must be successful. just using these smart goals and monitoring and evaluation where God be try for user. Where God be user, and then I say they try for user. So this message, they really give me a resounding information for we for use for grow as Christians. So, one other important lesson is the way we draw from this particular chapter. And I say, make we know, say when we get projects, we need to carry 1,000 projects at a time, because most of we youth na so day. You get project X, you know what finish, you don't really think project Y. No, God, when I say God, hey, did you do one thing, it finished completely, so then she shows it don't find. Then now it go now for the next step. Now so before do. And what we look for the 6th day when God finished work. For next chapter, when at chapter 2 verse 1, it tells we say God be end creation. That means it be end with that divine project. Then now it tells we say on the 7th day it be rest. I think I will reserve that for our next Bible teaching, for our next lesson from chapter 2. So there is much in this, much more than what we have just outlined here. So one other thing where I will just conclude with them and say, I want them to look at the way God be try for create something they're going to say firmament, because I don't want to really talk just about that, because it be somehow a bit difficult for most Christians to really understand which way be firmament. When God be create the world, when God be create water, the whole world will be filled of water. That means all over the world. No dry land in the day, you know. We will see say in the later verses, God will create dry land. But initially, the whole world will be filled of water. And I think say science don't confirm this somewhere. And I want to just show we which way I will try to talk about here. If we look now the whole of Genesis lesson, this something they were going to say firmament when they say God created the firmament. Okay, now this the firmament created. What is the firmament? He said, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, because the world was full of water, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Let me say, you see the round world, so water will be full of water. Just put something like a balloon, what you going to say, bolo, inside. Just feel like, you might say, fill all with water. And then God divide, even for me, it divide them, up and so. The water there for up, water there for down. And that's why the dog say, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. And what is the firmament? Firmament refers to an expanse of air pressure between the surface of the sea and the clouds, separating waters below from waters above. When they talk about the sky, now that sky limit, what we call as a firmament. So if you look above the sky, you get water. Below the sky, when on the earth, here on the earth, you get water. So in between the earth and the sky, you get that space. Now that space we call as a firmament. And that's an image for you where I would like to say more see. Now what is it we call as a firmament? You see, on top it says heaven of heavens. You see below the right and say ocean of heaven. Firmament with a status. Now you see some small hole for the window, now for the rain the pass can fall for earth. So I get a second image where it be much more clearer. So that blue sky we see the same waters above the firmament. Above now the blue, above that blue so above now the water will therefore after the sky. And then this black lane where it curves so come down. Now that firmament over the top. Then if you look, then you see the sky just below it. And then down here is the earth. That is how God created the world, and then it waters. So I just want to make this remarkable, understand this point very well, because now a point will be challenging. During our Bible teaching session, we get some Christians express some difficulties about it. So we thought it wise. We just say for people that listen, we definitely get the same difficulties. So thank you very much for attending this session, for watching our program. This one program will bring them up from time to time for really teach we who get a profound knowledge about the Bible. Now, I want to talk say if we get any questions, we'll just put them on the comment box under this YouTube channel, or if you're watching now for Facebook, you comment, we will answer your questions. And if you get any remarks or any other, hope say if you contribute for ameliorate our service, our Bible teaching session, please, it is highly welcome. So, one next chapter and chapter 2, where we will watch out. Please, I beg, subscribe to this our channel, because we will come up with different teachings at different points in time, just as Aaron talked. And then also make sure that you share on your platforms for sending people them where they like this kind of program, and they listen and they know this interpretation very well. So, thank you very much. This is Bible Review Program from Christian Family Hope Fellowship, presented to you by Nkengacham Marcellus Agendia. Thank you. Bye-bye and God bless you.